Okay, our topic is establishing test validity and reliability. So after we have discussed test construction, the next thing that we will be looking into is how can we know whether the test that we are giving our learners is valid and reliable. Now, take note that when we measure or when we say the words validity and reliability, oftentimes, no, parang we are using them interchangeably, but actually their meaning are different. So when we talk about validity, class, when I say validity, validity stands for if the test measures what it intends to measure. Okay, if the test measures what it intends to measure. Whereas if I talk about reliability, reliability is about the consistency of the responses. Okay, your reliability is about the consistency of the responses. So try to recall that two definition that will be important for us to differentiate these two terms, validity and reliability. Now, let's first discuss the term reliability. Class, when I talk about reliability, as I have mentioned, the keyword there is consistency. Okay? So it is the consistency of the response to measure under three conditions. And that three conditions in assessment that we are talking about is number one, when retested on the same person. Number two, when retested on the same measure. And then number three, similarity of responses across items that measure the same characteristic. Okay? Now let's try to explain that further. So for example, I made a 10-item exam in science. Okay? I made a 10-item exam in science. How would I be able to say that that exam is reliable? If by the time that, for example, Jenny took the exam, okay? Jenny took the exam for the first time, the take one. And Jenny got a score of 9 out of 10 in my exam in science. By the time that Jenny will take again the exam after a certain period of time, she will score somewhere near 9. Her score may be 8 out of 10 or her score may be already 10 out of 10. Meaning it is reliable, meaning Jenny's responses is consistent from the first take and the second take. Yan po ang ibig sabihin dito ng when retested on the same person. Okay? Now, what does it mean? No? Bakit kailangan kong i-retest sa isang tao para malaman ko na reliable yung exam ko? So that I will be able to confirm that her score is not because of chances. Okay? Gusto kong i-confirm na yung score ni Jenny is hindi because hula-hula lang. Yung score ni Jenny is hindi because nakachamba lang siya sa exam ko, kung kaya naka-9 siya. Okay? That's what we meant by consistency when retested on the same person. Now, let's say for example, let's take another example. Let's say for example, Rhea. Okay? Rhea took an exam. Rhea took exam 1. Okay? She took it for the first time. And then she got a score of 9 out of 10. Then Rhea took exam 2, also the first take, and then Rhea got the score of 8 out of 10. If these two exams provides the same measure, halimbawa, yung exam ko dito sa exam 1 type of rocks, tapos sa exam 2 type of rocks rin yung exam ko. Okay? Now, if Rhea consistently scored, for example, 9 out of 10 siya sa dalawang exam na yan, it means that my exam is reliable when retested on the same measure. Okay? Exam 1 and exam 2 here are different exams, but they are the same measure of the knowledge about the type of rocks. So, ibig sabihin, pag, wow, 9 si Rhea sa test 1 or exam 1 about the type of rocks, when I gave out exam 2 and then it is still about the type of rocks, okay, Rhea still scored 9 out of 10. Meaning my examination is consistent, my examination is reliable when retested on the same measures. Okay? So again ha, pag sinabi ko class na the same measures, they could be different exam but they are measuring the same thing. Okay? They could be different exam but they are measuring the same thing. Now the third one here, it says similarity of responses across items that measure the same characteristics. Now, let's have another example for that. Let's say I got a 10-item exam. May 10-item exam ako about, let's say for example, my 10-item exam is about anxiety. Okay? Let's say, for example, my 10-item exam is about anxiety. Halimbawa, first question, I am afraid. Tapos kailangan mong sumagot ng 1, 2, 3, or 4. Pag sinabi kong 4, ibig sabihin super afraid ka talaga. Pag 1, hindi ka afraid. Kaya halimbawa, ganun yung instruction. So class, pag sinabi kong similarity of responses across items, that would mean that if my participant or if my learner indicated na anxious siya dito sa item 1, dapat sa item 2 anxious din siya. Dapat sa item 3 anxious din siya. If from items number 1 to 5, parang yung sagot niya consistently na anxious siya. Kaya halimbawa sorry. Okay? So halimbawa lang, no, for item 1 to 5, kapag consistently nasasagot ng participant ko ay 4, anxious ako, 4 pa rin, anxious ako, 4 din dito, 4 din dito. Dapat sa items 6 to 10, she will also indicate that she is anxious. Okay? That means, class, that across items, kapag alam niya yung sagot sa first 5, dapat alam niya din yung sagot sa last 5. Kasi if they are measuring the same concepts, if they are measuring the same attributes, dapat consistent yung magiging sagot ng learner natin. Okay? That's one purpose of your reliability, or that's one way for us to check whether our instrument is reliable. Again, so under 3 conditions, retested on the same person, retested on the same measure, and then similarity of responses across items. That way, we will be able to identify that indeed our questionnaire, our instrument, our assessment is reliable. Now, what are the different factors that might affect the reliability of the test that we are giving our students? 1, the number of items in the test. Okay? Plus, the tendency is that the more items, the more reliable the test gets. Okay? Again, the higher the number of items, the more reliable the test gets. Okay? Next, individual differences of the learners or the participants. Halimbawa, okay, during the first take ni Jenny, okay lang, maganda yung environment, naka-aircon siya, komportable siya. Okay? Pero nung second take ni Jenny ng exam, wag naman sana, pero she feels uncomfortable. Baka nandyan yung period niya, pagkatapos may mga pinagdadaanan siya sa buhay. So the tendency is that she might get low scores on the second take of the exam. And in that way, parang it would appear na, uy, bakit yung exam ko parang hindi reliable? Anong nangyari? Kaya ayun pala, may fatigue yung ating participant or yung learner natin. Next, another thing is innate ability. Okay? You will encounter learners later on with intellectual disability. You will encounter learners later on with learning disability. Okay? Makikita po natin na kahit ano pong gawin natin, bakit yung first exam mataas, yung second exam mababa, tapos tumaas naman, parang walang pattern. Okay? So it might be possible that your learner is having learning disabilities that needs to be referred to professionals. Then perseverance and also motivation. Another factor that might affect your reliability is the external environment. Okay? Point out, for example, the room, the temperature that I've mentioned, or even the noise level at your surroundings. Okay? Now look at, say, for example, right now you are listening to my discussion. But then if you are in a very noisy environment, the tendency is that you will be unable to focus. Okay? Parang feeling mo ang kulit, ang ingay, hindi ako makafocus, hindi ko marinig kung ano yung pinag-uusapan. Okay? So the noise level, the exposure to materials, and also the quality of instruction. Admittedly, class, the quality of instruction has a very big impact also on the reliability of assessment. Halimbawa, kapag bibigyan ko kayo ng exam, kapag bibigyan ko kayo ng test na hindi ko man lang na-discuss or hindi ko nasabi sa inyo na ito yung coverage ng assessment, there will be a very big tendency, okay? There will be a very big tendency na hindi po kayo makakakuha ng magandang scores, okay? Because of the quality of instruction. Or halimbawa, hindi ako nag-meet, or halimbawa, wala tayong klase. Pagkatapos, you will just have your examinations without even knowing what will be the coverage of your exam. The quality of instruction will be able to affect the reliability of your assessment. Okay? Now, there are different bases for the kinds of reliability. One of the bases is your variable being measured. Another basis is the type of test that we have. And another basis is the number of versions of the test. Okay? So una class, you have the variable being measured, you have the type of test, and then the number of versions of the test. Now, let's talk about the different methods in testing reliability. Class, these are parts of our discussion that you need to perhaps memorize and remember. They will prove to be useful when you will be conducting your researches. They will also prove to be useful, class, by the time that you are already educators and that you need to check if there are concerns in the examination that you are giving. Okay? One, class, is you have your test retest. You also have your parallel forms. You also have your split half. You also have your KR, your Kuder-Richardson, and then you also have Cronbach alpha, and then you have your inter-rater reliability. Okay, these are the different methods in testing reliability. We will discuss them one by one. Okay, let's talk about your test-retest reliability. Plus, look at the word test-retest. Okay, test-retest. That goes back to the first definition of your reliability or the first condition there. Okay, di ba ang first condition doon? When a retest is conducted. Now, look at your test-retest reliability. Class, halimbawa, no? The same test lang yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. Okay? The same test. Test. The same test lang yung kukunin ng student. Pero magti-take one siya pagkatapos, after 30 minutes or even up to 6 months, you will give again the same type of test, take 2. Okay? The same test. Hindi lang type. The same test talaga. Kung ano yung item 1 to 10, yun din yung ibibigay mo after 30 minutes or even up to 6 months. Okay? The same items, the same instructions, the same choices, basically lahat the same. Okay? So class, from that, you will be able to measure the stable variables, such as the aptitude and then the psychomotor measures. Okay, so this is a very good example for aptitude and psychomotor measures. And examples of which are your typing test and your physical education task. Okay, and then class, the statistics that will be used to determine whether it is reliable or not is what we refer to as your Pearson's R. Okay, may test po tayong tinatawag na Pearson's R. Anong gagawin ni Pearson's R? Class, once you have the test here, for example, I did this with 5 students. Tapos yung scores nila dito, 6, 7, 8, 8, at saka 9. Okay? In a 10-item exam. Halimbawa, yan yung scores nila. On the take 2, the same students got the score of, let's say for example, 5, 7, 8, 9, 9. Okay? Take note ha, the same exam, the same students, inulit lang after a time span of 30 minutes or even up to 6 months. Okay? Now class, pag ganyan po yung scores nila, yung gagawin po ni Pearson's R, okay, your Pearson's R is done using your SPSS. I-pair po niya si 6 at saka si 5, si 7 at saka si 7, si 8 at saka si 8, tapos si 9 at saka si 8, si 9 and 9. And Pearson's R will check whether there is a relationship between these scores. Pag positive po yung relationship ng scores, ibig sabihin maganda po yung reliability ng examination natin. Okay? Pag positive yung relationship ng scores, ibig sabihin maganda po yung reliability ng examination natin. Plus, the usual limit that we set for Pearson's R is also 0.7. Kindly write it down. The test is considered reliable if the reliability score or the Pearson R coefficient is 0.7 and above. Okay? It's 0.7 and above. Okay? So yan po class yung test, retest, reliability natin. Now, let's go towards your parallel forms. Okay? Parallel forms. Class, sa parallel forms, let's read this first below. It says applicable if there are 2 versions of the test. Okay? Dalawa yung version. Halimbawa, si Sir may set A, tapos may set B. Or hindi kaya set A, set B. No? So, if you would look at this illustration that I have on the upper part of the slide, you'll be able to see na ito test version 1, tapos this one is test version, okay? So this one is test version 2 or form. So ano pong nangyayari? Different po yung groups ng participant. Yung isa kukuha ng set A, yung isa kukuha ng set B. Pero sabay po nilang kukunin yan. Okay? Sabay po nilang kukunin yan. They will be taking the exam at the same period of time. Okay? Now, what will happen then? After we have the scores of these participants, we will again check for the reliability index. Okay? Now, this type of reliability test is best if you are talking about different groups such as entrance examinations and then licensure examinations. Okay? So class, again, yung parallel forms, best siyang gamitin kapag we are talking about your entrance examination and then your licensure examinations. Okay? Now, next is your split half reliability. Class, in a split half reliability, we administer a test to a group of examinees. Isang grupo lang po ng examinee. And then the items are split to half. Now, there are different ways of doing the splitting of the items into halves. So class, for example, 6-item exam tayo. Pwede ko siyang hatiin class na 1, 2, 3, and then the other one is 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the first half is 1, 2, 3, and then the second half is 4, 5, and 6. A little while. Okay, so sorry for that. So class, no, there are two ways para i-divide siya natin. Okay, tandaan nyo lang, split half. Ibig sabihin, hinati natin siya. Okay, now, pwede ko siyang i-divide na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and others class would do the division by odd and even. Just like the illustration on the right. Kung makikita nyo po, dinivide siya na item 1, 3, and 5 is the first half, and then items 2, 4, and 6 is the second half. Okay? That's your odd-even technique for split half correlation. Class, your split half is best used if there is a large number of items. Again, split half is best used if there is a large number of items. Ano pong ibig sabihin? Halimbawa, may 100 item exam ako. Tapos I would like to check whether that exam is reliable or not. I can use the split half reliability. Okay? So class, no? Baka iniisip nyo, sir, kami po ba yung hahati ng exam na 1 to 50, 61, 51 to 100? Or hindi kayo odd and even? Class, hindi po kayo yung nagha-half. Okay? The having there, yung paghahati doon class, the cutting of the examinations would be actually done by your software such as your SPSS, your statistical package for social sciences. Okay? So, by the time that I will be encoding, for example, all the answers of my students in SPSS, SPSS will perform the split half reliability. And from that, SPSS will tell us whether our examination is reliable or not. Okay? Pagkatapos class, yung maganda pa sa SPSS, okay, or statistical softwares for that matter, you will be able to identify if anong test yung problematic. Okay? For example, di ba yung cutoff na sinasabi ko 0.7? So for example, class, if the reliability index is only 0.6, the SPSS will give you will identify to you the item that if deleted, okay, the item, if deleted, would increase the chances, class, of increasing the reliability score. So, pwede nating malaman kung anong item yung problematic. Okay? Then you have your Kuder-Richardson and then your Cronbach-Alpha method. Class, for your Kuder-Richardson and Cronbach-Alpha method, according to our textbook, I'm referring to the Book of Balagtas on Assessment, the Cronbach-Alpha value daw of 0.6 and above is already considered to be reliable. But class, I would like to revise that and I would like to make an addendum to that. Okay? We will make it 0.7 for the purpose of generality. And then most of the books in research and assessment would agree that the cutoff is 0.7. Okay? The cutoff class is 0.7. So I've checked several references. Most of the references would say that it's 0.7. So for that purpose, we will do away first with what is stated on the reference text. we will stick with 0.7. And when I say 0.7, that's the cutoff for me to say that my examination is reliable. Okay, we will use it as a cutoff for us to determine that our examination is reliable. Okay, now by the time class, for example, that you will be having your reviews already for your board examinations, just kindly confirm class if what is already the updated guideline on that. As of this time, as per the guidelines that I am checking, it's 0.7 and above. Okay? So class, ano po yung Coder-Richardson at saka yung Cronbach-Alpha method? These tests are actually done also using your statistical softwares. Okay? Gone are the days now that we are manually computing for these examinations or for these assessments. So we can do this using our statistical softwares. So kindly write on the side of your notes that your KR and your Cronbach-Alpha can be computed using your statistical softwares. And class, a Cronbach-Alpha value of 0.70 and above, that would mean that the test is already suitable for standard testing. Okay, that would mean class that the test is already suitable for standard testing. So they would determine if the score for each item are consistently answered by the examinees. And this is also best for large tools, scales, and inventories. Class, pag sinabi ko class inventories or scales, such as your Likert scale, I don't know kung nakakita kayo ng mga exam or assessment that would appear. I am afraid of the storm. Or let me say, for example, I am learning a lot in this class. Pagkatapos class, yung choices are, okay, yung choices are strongly disagree, disagree, neither disagree or agree, pagkatapos agree or strongly agree. Okay? If those are the choices class, you refer to that as your Likert scale. Others would pronounce it as Likert scale. Okay, so that's your example of Likert scale. It's usually a continuum of answers from 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. Okay? And when you have these examinations or assessment, the reliability of that assessment is best to be assessed using your KR or your Cronbach-Alpha. Is there any question? Okay, wala. Now, let's talk about your inter-rater reliability. Class, for your inter-rater reliability naman, usually your inter-rater reliability is used when we are talking about assessment with rubrics. It is used to determine the consistency of multiple raters using rates or rubrics. Ano pong ibig sabihin natin yan? Halimbawa, tayo yung mga judges. Halimbawa, kasama ko for example, si Arnel, pagkatapos si Evelyn, tsaka si Danel. Kami yung mga judge. Pag sinabi kong reliable kaming 4 na mga judges, chine-check yung inter-rater reliability namin. Ano pong ibig sabihin ng inter-rater reliability? Kapag mataas yung score na binigay ni Arnel, mataas din ba yung score na binigay ni Evelyn? Mataas din ba yung score na binigay ko at yung score na binigay ni Danel? That way, we will be able to know whether the examination that we are giving or whether our assessment is also consistent or not. Okay? Halimbawa, may nagpa-perform PE subject, ano? Halimbawa, may PE subject tayo. Tapos gusto kong malaman kapag yung rubric ko on PE is reliable. I can ask Arnel, Evelyn, and Danel to judge my PE requirement. Okay? And I will tell them, oh, sige, after the judging or after the assessment, after they have accomplished the rubric, I will be asking them. No? I will be asking them kung ano na nga ba yung scores na nabigay nila. At saka kapag consistent ang scores na ito across all other judges. Okay? And the statistical test that is being done to evaluate that is what we refer to as your Kindle-Stau coefficient. Okay, we have to refer to as your Kindle-Stau coefficient, which is used to determine if the ratings provided by the multiple raters would agree with each other. Okay, so that's the statistical test that we are using. Kindle-Stau assessment or Kindle-Stau coefficient. Okay? Sige. Now, quick recap muna tayo. Class, open the chat box. If I will say the test measures what it intends to measure, if the test measures what it intends to measure, is it validity or reliability? Test measures what it intends to measure. Validity or reliability? Okay, very good. That refers to your validity. Now, when I talk about reliability, what's our keyword for reliability? What's our keyword for reliability? Okay, ano po yung keyword natin sa reliability? Okay, so your keyword for reliability is consistency. Okay, your keyword for reliability is consistency. Now, I'm the educator. I would want to determine the reliability of my exam. What I did was, I gave the exam today. I'm giving the exam today. And then after a month, I gave the same exam. Nagbigay ako ng exam today. After a month, I gave the same exam and I performed a statistical test to determine if my exam is reliable or not. What type of reliability is that? Nagbigay ako ng exam today, pagkatapos ibibigay ko siya ulit after 1 month. What type of reliability am I doing? Is it your parallel form reliability? Is it your inter-rater reliability? Or is it your test-retest reliability? Sige na, nagbigay ako ng exam today, uulitin ko yung exam after 1 month. What type of reliability am I giving my students? Okay? Is it your parallel form reliability, your inter-rater reliability, or is it your test-retest reliability? Okay, that would be your test-retest reliability. Okay. Now, let's say for example, you became part of the board of the professional teachers. Okay? Part ka na ng board of examiners. Pagkatapos gusto mong i-determine whether the board examination for 2022 is reliable or not. Okay? Alam mo na sa board exam, merong set A at saka set B. What type of reliability is best done? What type of reliability test is best done? Is it your inter-rater reliability, your test-retest reliability, or your parallel form reliability? Okay, very good. That will be your parallel form reliability. Okay? Now, let's say for example, I would want to evaluate the effectiveness of the rubric that I just developed. Okay? May rubric ako, gusto ko siyang ipa-implement sa buong school. Pero before ko siya i-implement, dapat may reliability, sabi ni principal, sabi ni dean. Now, before I would be able to implement that, what type of reliability is best used for rubrics? What type of reliability is best used for rubrics? That would be your inter-rater reliability. Okay, good capture on that. Very good. Very good sa mga sumasagot on chat. Okay, that will be your inter-rater reliability. Now, if I'm talking about inter-rater reliability, anong statistical test kaya yung ipi-perform ko? Will I be performing Pearson's R? Will it be Kendall-Stowe? Will it be Cronbach Alpha? Or will it be Kruder-Richardson? Okay? Gusto ko, agree na tayo, inter-rater reliability yung gagamitin natin. So after we have gathered the data, what statistical test would be used? Will it be your Kruder-Richardson, your Kendall-Stowe, your Cronbach Alpha, or is it your Pearson's R? In that case, class, that will be your Kendall-Stowe. Okay? Now, balik naman tayo. Ginawa ko yung test-retest. Yung sabi ko kanina, test today, test after 1 month. What statistical test naman is appropriate if I will be doing that test-retest? Ano yung gagamitin ko? Will I be using Pearson's R? Will I be using Kruder-Richardson? Will I be using Cronbach Alpha? Or will I be using Kendall-Stowe? Nag-test, retest ako. Tapos I would want to know kung significant siya or may relationship nga ba or reliable nga ba yung test ko. Anong statistical test yung gagamitin ko? Will it be Pearson's R, Kruder-Richardson, Cronbach Alpha, or Kendall-Stowe? Test-retest. Ano yung ginagamit sa test-retest? Balik tayo sa slide ni test-retest. Ano nga ba yung ginagamit kay test-retest? Yes, yes. Okay? Ulit daw, ulit. Okay, so class, it's your Pearson's R. Ha? So class, Pearson's R yung ginagamit sa test, pretest. Okay? Kindly take note of that. Now, the Cronbach Alpha already came out. Ha? Cronbach Alpha score daw. Lumabas na yung Cronbach Alpha. Nag-compute na tayo. Nagpatulong tayo sa statistician. Pagkatapos class, paglabas ng Cronbach Alpha, paglabas ng result ni Cronbach Alpha, the result is 0.59. 0.59. Can I use my test for standard testing or need ko munang i-revise? Kapag yung Cronbach Alpha score 0.59, pwede ko na ba siyang gamitin for standard testing or i-revise ko muna? Okay, very good. So you need to revise it. Because the cutoff is, what is the cutoff that I have mentioned to you based on references? The cutoff should be 0.7. Okay, 0.7. So class, no, strictly speaking, yung sinasabi ng mga reference is that it should be greater than or equal to 0.7. Okay, greater than or equal to 0.7. Kasi paminsan-minsan, yung result talaga exactly 0.7. So nagtatanong yung iba, is that reliable or not? So if the result is 0.7, the test is reliable, it can already be used for standard testing. Okay? Plus, our course does not already cover that I will be teaching you statistical package for social sciences, but I hope that we will have opportunities in the future to learn the use of SPSS because it could help us, no? It could help us on running the statistical test. Pag hindi po tayo makaka-learn yan on the classroom setting, one recommendation that I have to you is to visit the website of SPSS. The website of SPSS has a lot of resource videos, no, wherein you can learn from it, and also the videos that can be found in YouTube for SPSS. Okay? There are a lot of statistical tests. Ha? There are a lot of statistical tests. Sige.